Hello, everyone. I am your host and your life and love coach, Riana Milne, and I'm really thrilled that you're with me tonight. I do encourage you to take notes, have some paper and a pen with you. We are going to cover a lot tonight. This is the seminar, Successful in Business but Struggle in Love, for smart women who are frustrated when it comes to love. And this is all about why you may be sabotaging or feeling stuck when it comes to love and what you can do about it. I am down here live for you in this little box, but this way at least you can see the slides well. Tonight we're going to cover, again, why you're successful in business but frustrated in love. Why do those with past adverse childhood experience often excel in business, really are successful, but frequent sabotage love? And I'm going to go into what that means, so just hang tight. Why painful past emotional childhood or dating relationship experiences are hurting you right now, today, in your present, and the roadmap to having the life you desire and the emotionally healthy love that you absolutely deserve. Okay, so this topic is super important because you'll want to understand why you're struggling with dating or in your love relationship, why success in business can escalate the problems that you're experiencing, and how to eliminate the negative, unconscious, destructive patterns that are sabotaging you in life or love. And this is for you if you're amazing at your work, but horrible in your exclusive love relationships, or just really feeling negative and fearful about dating at all, or you're recently divorced, or maybe even soon to retire, and you want to know exactly how to find that ideal partner for your future and not make any costly mistakes, for sure. Believe me, I've had, and you have a few toxic or sociopathic, narcissistic partners. Yes, I've had those too, and are scared to death to get another one. You need the answers on why do you attract this kind of person and how to avoid them, because you don't want that to happen to you again. If you are in love and you have a partner now, but you're not exclusive, or you're going back and forth with being exclusive and then breaking up, so you're in that toxic cycle of fighting, emotional or verbal abuse, and other dysfunctional toxic behavior patterns, and they keep ruining your chance at really beautiful, healthy, and lasting love. Why do I care so much about this topic? Well, I am someone that experienced childhood trauma, and I didn't realize that I did until I did the research. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I mean, I'm a nice lady. I'm a great mom. I'm smart, summa cum laude, 4.0, and in my master's degree in clinical psychology. I mean, why couldn't I get that great guy? And I've been successful since my 20s. And, now I do have that time for the conscious love relationship. And I definitely could have been a workaholic. I was in my past without my new system in place, because once I did the research, I understood what was going on. And that's what I'm sharing with you tonight. And my research then helped all my clients who experience the same dynamics, that 90% of other people who experience these toxic love patterns, and especially if they were successful in business. So what I'm teaching you tonight is exactly what I needed several years ago. And when I discovered it, I was so excited to share it with the world. And that's what I'm doing. So who am I? What is my background? I am a certified global life, love, and relationship coach. I went to RCI, Relationship Coaching Institute, in 2009 and 10. So I've been doing coaching for quite a while. And I've been a licensed mental health counselor, both in New Jersey and in Florida. I was one of the most successful coaches on radical dating, finding lasting love over 40, because my client, Scott, who had both childhood and relationship trauma because his partner was killed right in front of him, very sadly so. And he was stuck. He couldn't move on away from, the idolizing of that love he had so much. But he was the first one to date in the program and found love. I am a best-selling author of several books, but I have two that are part of my program, Live and Love Beyond Your Dreams. I'm a certified clinical trauma professional and addictions professional, both in New Jersey and Florida, and I'm a motivational and educational speaker. I also am a podcast host. My show is called Lessons in Life and Love. There's a lot of good information there, guys. So tune into that, and please leave me a comment or questions that you want me to answer in the next show. I've been written for eHarmony. I've been interviewed on every major news station, write for Digital Romance. That's the crew from Radical Dating with Scott in the front, and I often do a lot of stage presentations. So a little bit about my story. I was considered very successful in all my endeavors since my 20s, but I worked very hard for that. And I did know how to reach my goals and dreams. I developed a motivational system for myself. And sometimes I had 5 jobs because I was a single mom when my girls were 4 and 5. I chose to divorce my husband. And I dated, but my relationship suffered because I had to work so much to give my children the life that I wanted them to have. And although my partners and I had a lot of fun and romance, there was often, lack of time and energy because I was working so hard. But I found as I was becoming more and more successful, they got jealous or controlling or tried to ruin that success. And they became intimidated. And sometimes they even sought attention outside of the relationship when I really started to take off with my success. So I kept questioning, is my work ruining my relationships, or was it something else? Does success sabotage love? So the research identified the problems. This is what I think is really interesting. Here we go. There's a lot of research, but I'm going to give you top 4 things that I think I really feel are important for you to know tonight. First, the reptilian brain versus our social norms. Okay, there is something in the brain called the old brain, and it's in the men and the women. And caveman brain likes to pursue, compete, provide, and win. He is a chaser. He is a provider. And cave woman, old brain, needs safety, nurturing, affection, and security. No matter how successful we are as women, we still yearn for that feeling of being nurtured and feeling safe. So this worked really well back in the traditional times of 30s, 40s, and 50s, where there were traditional roles where the man provided and the woman was mostly at home, the nurturer. And in the 60s, the women were wanting to break out and be feeling successful on their own. And that's when there was free love. They were tired of the rules. The men could do whatever they want, the woman couldn't. And they revolted. Everyone was revolting against the system and the war. In the 70s, then, the women could do it all movement happened. And I remembered I was just entering Penn State for my bachelor's in speech communications and broadcasting. We were told we should be financially providing and also having children and cleaning homes and cooking the meals, leading to extreme burnout and also then becoming more masculine in our roles because that's what we became. And then in the 80s, both parents started working for the American dream. And in the 90s, there was a huge push for materialism. Everybody wanted the bigger house, the bigger cars, 2 cars, huge focus on the kids being successful and competing, getting scholarships. I saw a lot of kids in my therapy practice at that time totally burn out and angry at their parents just because they just felt so stressed out. And in the 2000s, that's when the financial crises came. 2 of them. One was 2002 with the tech crises, and then 2008 with the mortgage crises, making people work longer and harder hours and earning less. So this is what our norms were going through. And, you hear a lot of talk today about the masculine and feminine energies, but we couldn't help it. If we were single moms, we better have stepped up and been strong for our kids. Nobody else was doing it. We were providing the homes and working hard for our kids. So today, when I look at the millennials and talk to them or have them as my clients, those women and men in their late 20s and 30s, a lot of the men aren't desiring the 9-to-5 careers. They don't want the big homes. They don't want to feel stuck. They desire money, but freedom. And they all experience there's no guarantee of work after college. They were left with debt. They're either waiting for or not even desiring marriage right now. This is when the explosion of the internet businesses have taken off, and they are desiring either no kids or 2, and that's plenty. And then those in their young 20s, I have young people coming to me so stressed out because this is a huge age of sexual hookups. They're not sure they want to go to college because they don't think it's going to pay off. There's a lot of anxiety about terrorism, school shootings and mass shootings. They don't even know what a love relationship looks like. And most of them have come from divorced families. They're escaping with drugs, alcohol, sex, porn. Many feel lost. They want love, but they don't have any idea on what to do to get that. And today, the baby boomers, and I fit in that generation, they suffer from a long-term abusive marriages only to find themselves divorced once the kids leave. And they stuck in there for the kids. They hung in there a long time, many of my clients. or they had several toxic marriages, working hard to make up for the cost of divorce and to have something for retirement after long overdoing for the kids to make sure the kids were all right. And now we're looking at that. We don't know if the pensions are going away, Social Security is up for grabs. Like, we don't know if it's going to be there for us or not. So there's a lot of risk there. And most of us in this generation definitely want love and a partner to retire with, but I'm hearing that most don't want, trust, or fear the laws of marriage. Most come from a place of negativity and emotional abuse from their longtime partners. Many have fears or uncertainties about even how to begin to date or who to date and who can they trust. And there's a lot of financial fears, and trust stops them often from exclusivity. Many invested tons of money and energy and time to build their careers and take care of the kids, to have this American dream fall apart. So problem 2 is workaholism. So this is a person that works compulsively. This is a definition that generally implies that a person enjoys their work. It can also imply that they seem compelled to do it. So many people that work very hard were money rich, but time, relationship, life balance were very poor for them. And the compulsion to work excessively hard for long hours. But I got to tell you, when I had the model and talent school and agency, I'd work from morning to night the days I didn't have my kids. And when I had my kids, I made sure we had quality time together. But an obsession, it was a necessity. So, I can say, yes, I was workaholic, but I was trying to provide a nice home and vacations for my kids. And I wanted them to have a good life. Father wasn't doing that. And I also was a woman who paid child support for 12 years. So I had to work hard. There was no other options. But this is how workaholism affects us in love. And much of this, what I'm sharing with you tonight, is from research. So they state that there's no quality, there's little date and romance time with our partner. The ongoing stress increases your cortisol level and decreases low energy and desire for your partner because you're just too exhausted. Your body just can't seem to turn on. There's exhaustion and burnout. There's medical issues due to ongoing stress like chronic fatigue syndrome, Epstein-Barr virus, other issues, stomach issues. There's a lot of people with GI problems, resentment for doing it all and not feeling like you have any help. There's lack of fun and relaxation, lack of time, exercise, yoga to relax, meditation. But my people all meditate. They know that's essential for the brain and the body. Errands run on your off time just to keep your household together. So when you're supposed to be relaxing, you can't. Time is devoted to the kids, or now if you have elderly parents, there's a lot of time given there. Kids' sports schedules, demands, increased expenses with the kids, social media demands, more emails equals more work. We are all on overload. There is a lot of positive traits to us who are successful in business. You earn a good income, you're hardworking, you're intelligent, you're ambitious, responsible, organized, and you have control around your work. You support your family well, your spouse and children are well provided for because you're contributing or doing this on your own. You get things done when you're under pressure. You have a great reputation in public or society. You're often altruistic. You give, you understand pain, and you have a great sense of empowerment. So these are all wonderful and beautiful things. And in our society, and I know of people all over the globe, but in America, being wealthy equals being successful in our society. However, I'm finding the people in their 30s, where my daughters are that generation, it's having time is wealth for them. It's really interesting, and time and freedom to travel and enjoy their life. So it's a little bit different, but many can continue to struggle, to form those reliable, love, fun, long-term romantic relationships. And let's go into some of the negative traits that could emerge in successful people. And I want you to think of yourself. Are you having any of these, or does your partner or your prior partner have any of these traits if they were successful? Okay, so you're looking at two different entities here. Narcissism, their job or themselves are their primary focus. Control of their partner. Difficult and demanding on the spouse and the kids. Sometimes they act spoiled or entitled. They expect perfection in their mate. They're impulsive and prone to various addictions, often have serial sexual affairs without remorse. They could be ruthless or emotionless to their employees, very tough on their employees, spend little time with their partner, yet demand sex, quickly fall in love or lust and craves the romance, fast marriages to a sexy partner and fast deterioration or divorce, and they want to control the process. So a lot of my women coming to me, they've had partners that fit almost all of this. So I was just curious if you're finding that also. Many successful people are rock stars in business, but in romantic relationships, they just suck big time. They just can't seem to get it together. So these are some of the issues. So why does this happen, especially to successful people? Well, that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality emerges. Dr. Jekyll, think back to the Broadway show or the movie. And if you haven't seen it or have seen it for a long time, watch it again. Once you have this information, it's going to be fascinating to have a whole different meaning. But Dr. Jekyll was that handsome, charismatic doctor with a big home and very kind to everyone in the community. And then Mr. Hyde was a hidden personality type that at night he went out and raped and ravished and killed women. And nobody knew about it until he got caught. Okay, so a lot of successful people have this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and I was married to one of them. And let me tell you, when you're on the receiving end of one of these guys, it's devastating. And that's what led me to the research. So my pain became my passion and my purpose, which I teach all my people to do. The charming person or face to the world is confident, but they can be controlling and nasty or awkward and withdrawn in their personal love relationships. The lack of self-esteem and ongoing anxiety can create poor results in love. So they find someone with competent social skills. And like I said, that face to the world is really confident and outgoing. But as a love partner, they're kind of awkward. And when they're stressed at work, then the stress really triples when they're at home. So overworking and escapism sets in. This is what leads to a lot of drinking, drugs, sexual affairs, anything that's risky, that's feeding their ego and is pleasure seeking. Research shows, like I said, 9 out of 10 people, it's 89.9%. So 90% of people suffer in life and love due to past childhood, dating, or relationship trauma. And this does impact adults in their current life until they do something about it. And it does show that it escalates for people who are successful in business, or especially the famous, the actors and the actresses, especially women. Because women, we have these roles that we're supposed to live, and we have to live, and the nurturers, and then we have to go out and work, long hours, like the masculine role. And, we get butchered for not doing everything just perfectly right. So it becomes very difficult. And the dating patterns were the same for my people with past trauma. The first 4 to 6 months were incredible. A lot of passion, romance, fun. Your partners were loving. But then from like 5 to 9 or 10 months in, or right after, there's more of a commitment. So whether they live together, there's engagement, or there is a marriage, things drastically change. If your partner has childhood trauma, there's fast reactive anger and dramatic responses. That splitting of the personality was that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde becomes more pronounced. There's a lot of blame of the partner, and they never accept their responsibility. There's impulsive decisions that hurts both parties and ruins the trust in the relationship. And then the jealousy and control becomes overwhelming. Let's go to problem number 3, falling in love with chemistry. Now, this is what we were taught. This is how you fall in love from our fairy tales and our romance novels and our romance movies. This is, we were heart flutters. This must be love. This is chemistry. What's really going on with chemistry? Well, hormones and chemistry make one fall in love quickly and unconsciously, because that rush is the body and brain saying, I know this feeling. This feels good. I'm comfortable with this. And really what it's doing unconsciously is pulling you back to the past and what was your normal when you were a child growing up. So if you're a woman, that would most likely be the personality of your dad. And opposite, if you're the man, it would be the personality of your mom. Not always, but most often. Now, emotional triggers, life stress, and reality gets in the way of romantic love, right? So many business people are adrenaline junkies and workaholics. And the romance settles down or is gone, they want to move on to the next high because they're bored. So this is why a lot of executive men and women are doing this now too, have, serial sexual partners. Many successful people are 100% focused on their success and forget all about the relationships and social competencies. And they're described as, like I said, socially awkward and prefer to be alone and have few true friends. And that was some of the research I did on Steve Jobs, who very successful in business. He was the owner of Apple. He's passed on, but had a lot of childhood trauma and could not connect at all in love and was socially awkward with his wife and could not connect with his daughter. So that would be an example of that type of personality. And what happens with a relationship that's built on just this chemistry lust factor alone? Well, business people take risks to succeed. They move quick, and this is the same in love. They make purely irrational emotional decisions based on lust or that romance because of the hormones. And chemistry is that rush of adrenaline, serotonin, and dopamine, which makes us think we're going to be in love forever. And then the romanticism causes that rush of oxytocin and vasopressin. These are all chemicals in the brain that, make the heart beat and you sweat a little bit and feel turned on. And this leads to more irrational actions. So both of these phases can last about 2 years. And biology set us up this way. And this is the amount of time it takes to fall in love, get pregnant, have a child, and raise the child to about 2 or 3 years old till they're somewhat self-sustainable. And that's based in biology. So what can we do to fix these problems? Well, by eliminating the emotional triggers from your past childhood dating or relationship experiences and improving your dating skills, your odds dramatically increase in meeting someone who is emotionally healthy and evolved, and you know how to keep the relationship going. Love relationships, like I said, are not what you find in fairy tales. So you need to learn a lot more beyond what it feels like just to fall in love, beyond the chemistry to make a relationship work. And this is why I keep saying this was not our fault. We did not learn this. We should be learning this in school, in high school, or in our colleges. And I didn't even learn it in my master's program. So don't feel guilty that you didn't know. I didn't know until I did the research on what was needed for that emotionally healthy relationship. So to break free of any of these emotional triggers that seem to control you and sabotage your life and love relationship, we have to look at the past or these adverse events that you've had as a child or when you were in love, because those of childhood trauma definitely attract others of childhood trauma. This leads to mass emotional toxic relationships. So it's like wounded adults and they don't know what to do because so much of this is unconscious. And you must heal from your past experiences before dating to be sure to attract and keep that emotionally healthy partner, and then have the necessary skills when issues arrive. You never have to fight or yell or scream. And this program is so empowering. My clients say that they're very calm and they have learned how to communicate through issues, because they understand the trauma that they experience and their partner has experienced. So we need to make the unconscious conscious, and you can't change what you don't understand. That is my motto. That is my quote. Trauma is stored in the brain and the body, and we must examine your past childhood history and start putting the puzzle pieces together. And everyone I work with is a different puzzle. You all have different types of experiences in love and dating and marriage or no marriage. You have reasons behind that. You have different experiences with your mom and your dad and growing up. And I start putting them together, and then we get you beyond that. I describe it like a rainbow. You're here at the part that you don't know what you don't know, and you can't change what you don't understand. That's the beginning. And then when you learn about this, you get very empowered and things start changing almost immediately. People get transformations and feeling better within 10 days working with me. It's amazing. And I love to see that transformation happen so quickly. They do well and then they slip, and then they do well and then they slip. And a slippage is very normal. And I tell them that this is normal, not to feel bad or ashamed, because the unconscious is so strong that's what we're fighting. We are changing the unconscious and making the conscious awareness stronger. And that's what leads to the healing and the change and the transformation, so that when you get to the other side of the rainbow, there is that pot of gold. You have total awareness. It's like awakening to awareness. You are becoming consciously aware of everything you do, you say, what you write, what you text. Is it for the good of all? There is a spiritual component to this, because spiritually, you always want to make sure you're never hurting anyone else. right? And there's ways to handle everything with kindness and without hurting someone else. This is where we're going to go into the 10 childhood traumas. These are the top 10 that I feel are the most common that I put on my checklist for my clients to do. So when we do this together, I want you to place yourself in the mind of when you were a child, young and innocent, and remember what we think of as an adult, like my childhood wasn't that bad. I don't think I had any trauma. We all say that. And like, sure, there was a few weird things that happened. I lived, I got over it. I don't think it was trauma. But I want you to put yourself in the mind of a little child experience because it's very different. That's what gets stuck in the body. That's the trauma that's stuck, the brain, the body, and that's what we call the trauma. Okay, so when you were very young and innocent, did any of this happen to you? You had one or both parents with an addiction, drugs, alcohol, sex, which would be cheating, porn, gambling, hoarding, eating, spending, gaming, TV watching, and workaholism. I think that's 11. There are more addictions, but those are some addictions that not everyone thinks about. Then there's emotional abuse, neglect, or witnessed domestic violence. If you saw your parents fighting a lot, or you remember feeling afraid. Verbal abuse, you witnessed or received yelling, cursing, never given compliments. You were put down, or you were given the silent treatment when mom and dad were mad at you. Or you were even told, you weren't told, I love you, which is one of the traumas. Every child needs to hear that. Now, I give examples because this helps you to understand how it plays into an adult's life. And this is one of my lovely, wonderful clients, Shay. And my clients at the end of the program write, what they felt they learned from the program. And this was her experience. Her father was extremely demanding and her mother very cold. So she didn't have nurturing from either parent. She really suffered a lot when she was a child. And she writes, when I first started working with Rihanna, I was a mess. I just left my husband, who was very abusive and toxic to her, and was living in an apartment, was in another toxic relationship, who was with someone that was married. I did not know what to do. I felt like I was broken because I kept choosing such terrible men. Rihanna helped me through a very difficult transition of divorce, breakup, buying a house, learning to be a single mom and co-parent. At the time, her child was even rejecting her. She didn't want to spend time with mom. I now live in a beautiful house, which she loves, and is out of that toxic marriage and relationship. I feel like I'm on my way to a healthy relationship. She was dating someone when we finished. I'm content with myself, and my friendships and support network has improved tremendously. Rihanna never judged me or made me feel bad about myself and where she was to help me get to where I wanted to be. I felt like my next relationship will be amazing because I now have the tools to see the red flags and to make better choices. So, lovely, lovely person. And again, such a beautiful transformation. Item number 4, if you experience physical abuse, sexual abuse, rape, or molestation, abandonment from either parent, which is a fault or no fault abandonment. A no fault abandonment is when it's not the parent's fault that they left. So some examples of that is if they might have died early, if they went off to war to serve our country. My father, and this is one that I had to admit that I had, I'm like, oh my God, I remember always asking, when's daddy coming home? Because my mom never knew. And she goes, well, I don't know. And she was all upset. She didn't know where my dad was. And we found out later when my dad was sick with cancer, he was FBI and CIA. My dad was like James Bond. So we never knew where he was. But when he was home, he was very loving and nurturing. So that really played into some of my stuff with choosing the guy that I chose. That's no fault if they have to work away from home. A fault abandonment is if there's a divorce, let's say the man leaves the house and he promises to pick up your child and he's late or he forgets, or he does and he's just watching football all weekend and not really playing with the child, or spending more time with his girlfriend. So that's a fault abandonment. The child just feels like they just left emotionally. If you were part of adoption or foster care or had to live with other relatives because mom or dad couldn't take care of you, that even means grandparents. There's still something in that. There's that loss if you had to. And I know one of my clients tonight on a call, and I want to use this as an example. She went away to boarding school when she was very young, age 6. And, she just thought, well, that was normal. Well, that's a huge no fault abandonment. Their family had a farm, and to educate her, she had to go away. But I mean, this was a 6-year-old little girl, all that nurturing that you should be getting. And the crucial years are 0 to 11 for nurturing. And that is a real big form of abandonment. Okay, number 7, personal trauma, feeling worthless, guilty, or shame, being bullied, feeling different, maybe being born with a medical condition. This is the most common. Everybody usually remembers being teased or bullied at school or not fitting in, not feeling good enough. This was one of mine. I was very skinny and gawky, and I was on the swim team, and I had no shape, and I was always teased that I was so skinny. It was horrible. And then I got into modeling, and that saved my self-esteem and my confidence, and I was in the modeling profession 32 years. But I remember that feeling of, oh gosh, I just don't feel good enough. So that's a big one. And this is the key one that makes people successful in business. Really? You don't think I'm good enough? Watch me. You don't think I'm pretty enough? Watch me. And I have a book actually called Watch Me that came out in 2006, The Bold Motivational Attitude for Personal Success. And then Live Beyond Your Dreams was written about the mindset for success and all the tools that we use to help with that. Anyway, sibling trauma. This is if your sibling bullied you, or if they were born with medical issues and needed more mom's and dad's attention, or they were the golden child. They were perceived to be more handsome, more beautiful, and they got more of your parents' attention, more athletic. That's a big one. Family and community trauma. Community trauma is actually one of the later trauma, but because it's so important. What's going on in our communities today with the school shootings, the mass shootings and terrorism, loss of our homes by flood, fire, hurricane, volcanoes, mudslides, wildfires. I mean, there's one disaster after another. And can you imagine a little child going through this? This is devastating for us adults. But for little people, the trauma just stays in their bodies, and they're always going to want to crave more security. You see, have children that have experienced any community trauma, it's really important that you get them some help to help them heal from that and make them feel safe. Family trauma includes if you grow up in poverty, in a dangerous neighborhood, lost your home from the mortgage crises, frequent moves because you're a military family and having to go to new schools all the time, or family incarcerated. Growing up in a war zone, I had a client from Lebanon, and she said, Rihanna, every morning we wake up saying, oh my gosh, I'm alive, because there were active bombs going off all night long when she was a little girl, and she had a high need for security. And when she was dating, she'd latch on so fast, so tight, she would scare the guys away. All plays into your adult life. I'm going to show you how this comes together in 1 minute. So the last one is unstable parent with mental health issues. The two most severe are bipolar and borderline. Borderline is fast trigger anger, walking on eggshells. You never know when they're going to explode, and they explode at the dumbest little things that nobody else would get mad at. Bipolar is manic depressive. Manic is not the good one. A lot of people think, well, that's a good phase. That's often when they might go off and gamble or binge eat or spend or binge sex escapades. Depressive can come out as emotionally checking out or anger or just a lot of sadness. And then these other ones play into lines, narcissism, anxiety, critical controlling, or the parent bullied you. And there's so much more I could mention. Jamie, I love her. When she came to me, was in her young 30s, and she was a vice president of a national company. She ran over 50 offices. It was her dad's business, and she was second in charge. She was brilliant, and she did her business beautifully, but she had horrible boyfriends. Her last boyfriend slept on the couch and had no job. And, she says, I had a lot to work on and correct as I was choosing partners who were no good for me. I'm now able to stay relaxed and positive even on the rough days. Rihanna changed my mindset and taught me to value myself and my own self-worth, my requirements, and my non-negotiables when choosing an emotionally healthy partner. I'm now dating someone exclusively who also wants marriage and a family. He's very successful. He's worthy of her. And they've been together 9 months. So I'm so thrilled for her. I absolutely adore her. And she's learned to follow her dreams, take risks, and not be afraid anymore. And she feels very attractive and amazing. And I always thought she was a beautiful girl, but she didn't feel it. And she had a very demanding father that put her down. She was the only child. He wanted her to be a boy. So she never felt like she measured up to her father's wishes and dreams, always making herself feel not good enough. This leads us to the last problem we're going to discuss. Then we're going to go into the solution. Being obsessively driven to succeed. Now, this is unconscious, guys. You're not thinking, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is all very unconscious. It's very deep. There's an unconscious need for attention to feel successful or attractive or admired or important or just desired. And this is a result of those 10 childhood traumas coming into play. So why obtaining success becomes an obsession? You may not have heard compliments as a child. So again, like Jamie, her father wanted her to be perfect. That is very common for a lot of women. The sibling was the golden child. You had to work extra hard to get noticed or praised from your parents. You became successful as a child to help the family. That was the story of Quincy Jones. That's who it was, Quincy Jones' story. Oprah's story, driven to leave poverty behind. She also was terribly bullied. She was also told she was too heavy to be a news anchor. She was driven to success to prove them wrong, and she did very well at it. You succeed in school to get the teacher's praise and love. You were doubted about your abilities or intelligence, leading you to prove all your doubters wrong. As a matter of fact, I have a news clip, guys, on my Facebook page, Coach Riana Milne, with the Oprah story when she was on, I think it was 60 Minutes, and she's there. This is childhood trauma. This makes so much sense. I never knew this existed. And you know how bright of a woman she is. And I'm like, yes, Oprah finally knows about this. And that was only like 6 months ago when that aired. But it's worth seeing that clip. So just go on Coach Riana Milne, and that's where I give all my announcements too about all my classes and my podcasts and everything. So you'll keep in the loop with me if you're on there. The other symptoms that come from this is depression and anxiety. Most of my clients have ongoing anxiety, parenting issues. If a client has parenting issues, and many of them do when they come to me, we work on that right away. And it's amazing the changes that have come. And I'm thinking of 2 women right now that I have, that everything has healed. One woman had 3 children at her, and one woman had 2 because she had a toxic boyfriend in the household for 7 years. And they were angry at her that she couldn't see how bad he was for the entire family. So this is where a lot of anger can come in. So I love working with teens. I'm very good at working with adolescents or young people in their 20s. I do a lot of that as well. Faulty coping and behavioral mechanisms and patterns that come out. Low self-esteem, feeling not good enough, feeling guilty if you do something nice for yourself, codependency. And I want to stress that this is not just a woman's issue. Men have the same things, and they go through the same things. And that's why it's important that when you're dating, you're going to recognize what are their childhood traumas. Have they healed them? How severe are them? Because when you know if they were not healed, what the next move would be. Okay, they may not be emotionally healthy enough for you to keep dating them. Childhood trauma equals wounded adults, men and women. And this is where there's a lot of these traumatic relationships. There could be bipolar, borderline personality disorder. They are inherited from your parents. Could be narcissism, which is the male version of histrionic, which is the female version of drama queen. Often disorganized, cluttered, or messy at home. Irresponsible with money. That's one of the traits. Now, this is not all of them. People have different things, right? Impulsive in words, thoughts, and actions, fear of abandonment, or they feel insecure or jealous, history of poor relationships, or they refuse to apologize or forgive. Have you ever dated anyone like that? They just shut down emotionally. They know they're wrong, but they will never apologize. Yes, I've had a couple of those.
Do you feel like you have tried everything? Self-help books, therapy, relationship summits, retreats, online courses, podcasts. But you still struggle with toxic love, attracting narcissistic partners, ongoing anxiety, depression, codependency, love addiction, stress, moodiness, lack of hope, feeling stuck in your career, and you just can't seem to get love right. It's time to heal your unconscious behavioral patterns caused by unhealed childhood trauma. I'm Riana Milne, the love trauma recovery expert and certified life and love coach who helps thousands around the world, and I can help you too. I specialize in helping adults heal from unconscious childhood and love relationship traumas, emotional triggers, and dysfunctional behavioral patterns, which have been impacting them negatively in life, love, or business, to transform and create the life they desire and to have the love they deserve. Talk to me today at rianamilne.com and get the free ebook below to learn more.
So Ask yourself now, do you or your last partner or your current one do any of these sabotaging behaviors? And if you do, you can type them in the chat room. And think if you do this, because this could be sabotaging your love relationships. Are you controlling? And this comes from if you had no control as a child, and if you had a partner that's controlling you because you're successful, he often is not. And he lacks control in his life. So he's going to start controlling you and trying to bring you down to his level. Jealousy, that's often when you were bullied or didn't feel good enough. People pleasing. This is if there was verbal abuse in the house, or you have a feeling you needed to be liked, or just to keep the peace in the household. This often happens with a very type of tyrant mother or father, or if there was addiction in the house, alcoholism, the children usually become people pleasers to keep that peace. Lying for no reason was a coping strategy from not being beat as a child or verbally abused. Manipulation and seduces. A lot of men use charm and humor to be liked and seduce a woman. When they didn't feel good enough as a kid, that might have been the boy that said, you'll never amount to anything. You're no good. You know, that's the bad boy who knows how to charm. Think of Fonzie on Happy Days, if you know that show. He came from that rough childhood background, but he was charming and seductive. Blames and won't apologize, or always blaming you. Oh my God, needs to be right. And they lack remorse if they do something wrong. Now, with 5 or more of the childhood traumas, sometimes sociopathy can emerge. And 1 in 25 people are sociopathic, according to Martha Stout in her book, The Sociopath Next Door. That's high numbers. And sociopathic means they use people for pleasure or profit without remorse. And I have had 2 men like that in my life. This is why after the last one, I'm like, what is going on? And I need to figure this out. And the thing is, guys, we all want love. It's our number one basic human need. This just makes us human. And to grow on from this, we have to look past the fights with our partner. If you're with someone, you have to learn to forgive. It's a highly spiritual component. This is where the business part comes in sometimes. If you have a highly successful partner, that business person's often ruthless and is used to competing. They don't often forgive those who scorn them. Here we have to teach the past is gone. It doesn't define who you are as a person or a new partner. But failure in business costs money, and it defines you as a success or failure, often publicly. And for success in love, you don't fall for one's potential. But in business, one's potential for success is everything. So this is why these different viewpoints of success and love, and when you want both, become very opposite sides. This little brief exercise you just received from Module 1, which is my program, Dating to Mating. It's called Awake to Awareness, because this is just of what we go over in the program. But at least you learn what is a leading cause of dating and relationship problems for those who are successful in business, why your past childhood relationship trauma have direct correlations to suffering in life and love, and if you were impacted by this, and how the emotional triggers from your past escalate the behaviors that could be sabotaging you today and your success in life or love or both, and yet helps you be very successful in business. So we are going to do our Q&A together in just a few minutes. I know I rambled on a little bit more than I'm used to, guys. I tell stories and I get a little waylaid. I'm so sorry. But we're going to assess together if your past is sabotaging your success in love now. Did you experience past emotional dating or relationship trauma? And if you're really ready for a relationship, I want to really stress there's help for this. This can be totally changed in your life. And that's the most exciting part. I needed to figure out how to change it, and I didn't know how. And I found this out much later in my life, but I did learn the new life balance and how to have emotionally healthy love. Thank God. And I want to begin with saying, let's just stop pain. I mean, we've all been through it, or you wouldn't be with me tonight. And it's time to stop this merry-go-round of pain. And you should know you can have it all. Success in business and in love, but you definitely need to have a plan. You need to know what to do. And the good thing is that you have choices. The roadmap to success includes making better, more educated choices in life and mate selection. And remember that the problem comes from the business people with childhood trauma, are driven by unconscious emotional triggers for love and success. and they have that deep need to succeed. Number one, we begin by not moving forward in love blindly. When you take risks in business, it can pay off big, but you must learn to become consciously aware and be evolved in dating and love. And evolved means being your highest and your best self, being totally conscious aware. And we begin the process by boldly facing your fears and the facts from the past. It's not to make you feel shamed or guilty or blame mom or dad. It's like, what were the facts? Let's look at them and how they're playing out today in your life. And you start to understand then why you're doing what you do. And these are a lot of aha moments when we first get started. It's time to finally stop the pain, the fear, and the frustration that's causing so many people to have these toxic love relationships. Clients go through a total transformation from pain to joy. They start with fear and frustration, can't figuring out what's wrong, to a confident and conscious mindset. They go from doubt to success, that negative mindset to positivity, anxiety and depression that are usually ongoing. The anxiety is ongoing. The depression is just bouts of it. Usually it's not usually ongoing. And then that's like this peace and calm in their life. And then from that underlying unconscious not feeling good enough to really having amazing purpose and passion. I know too, you have a lot of selections out there. There's a ton of love coaches out there. So, why work with me as your coach? And I just want to tell you, some of the things that I have that I will be bringing to you and be very honored to be your coach. I have 36 years in the personal transformation business. I'm a certified coach of, Relationship Coaching Institute. I have results proven one-on-one coaching with other VIP clients for years. Results proven online group coaching programs for singles and couples. I'm a certified clinical trauma professional, CCTP. I am probably the only love coach that holds that credential globally that I know of right now. So I have many hours of training. I've invested over $350,000 in my education and training. I have licenses, certificates, a SAC. I even worked in schools with kids of trauma. So if your kids have had problems, I can work with them and help them. And I've learned proven techniques in overcoming emotional trauma and destructive habits. I'm a psychotherapist in private practice, specialized training in holistic and spiritual health for a positive mindset. I am also Reverend Rihanna since 1997. So I had to go to school for that too. I'm the most successful coach on the Radical Dating Show. My Model and Talent School was a 3-time International Model and Talent School of the Year, and helping many to achieve their dreams and goals in the talent business, one of the hardest businesses to achieve in and one of the highest in rejection. Yet their mindset of success took them to incredible levels. I told you I was a professional stylist and creator of all my businesses, never took out a loan. I just started from a dream and goal setting and the mindset for success. This is what I want to work with. What will it cost you to wait? I mean, people wait forever. You don't want to do this when you're really old, although my oldest client is 73 years old. But you'll have more wasted time and aggravation and frustration, more sadness and loneliness, more bad dates with toxic people, not marrying or having children if you're in your 30s and that's what you really want, suffering with low self-esteem or confidence issues, living in fear or negativity, ACEs for your children. Your children, remember, this goes through the generations, so we want to stop that pattern. Marrying a partner who's not good for you or your kids, getting financial hardship or ruin, which happened to me, the financial hardship for sure, and having more anxiety, stress, and depression. So here's someone in their 60s that said, yes, Betsy is one of my clients. She said, Rihanna has a true passion for helping others navigate through life's roadblocks and helping one get to their ultimate goals, be it in relationship, career, weight issues, or self-esteem. Those are some of the issues we worked on for her. Rihanna gives you valuable tools each week to get your goals in a positive and constructive way. After ending a 5-year relationship, she helped me pick up the pieces and move forward in my life. She was very devastated when coming into my office. I'm very grateful for all the positive and constructive advice and knowledge she shared with me. I hope if you're at the crossroads in your life and need guidance, that you will do yourself a great favor and hire Rihanna. This is from Leah, one of my online grads, adorable. I love Dating to Mating Life and Love Transformation program for singles. The programs helped me understand that many of my previous dating mistakes were due to my past. The well-organized course starts by fixing the root of problems, really transforming yourself. The group support is fantastic, and I wished I would have invested years ago in this course. Love Leah, and she was dating successfully one guy when she was done. Nikki was also dating a man. She started dating while in the course, and she was still dating him when we were done. She's in her 50s. And she says about the program, it's very inviting and conversational while watching her videos on the online portion. I feel she's in my living room giving me one-on-one attention, and much of what she's teaching is absolutely spot on advice and guidance I needed to hear. The written content, she's talking about the workbook, is easy to understand and assimilate. Solid real-world education is what she offers. She provides a wealth of information amongst her books, videos, television program, workbooks, and rich life experience.
Do you have the mindset for success? Or are you feeling frustrated in life or your career? Or stressed you can't find love or happiness? Hi, I'm Coach Rihanna Milne, and I can help you turn your pain into your purpose and passion by using my Mindset for Success system. Learn the motivational Mindset for Success coaching system that has helped thousands of my clients over 40 years, and it can help you too. It's time to create the life you desire and to have the love you deserve.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day.